So today we're gonna brave the depths of the half-finished ADHD project graveyard and revisit one of my most regretted unfinished projects. Why? Why do I regret this project? Because it was a pain in the ass. And then when I finally got it half done, I just stopped working on it. So let's go take a look at it. I'll show you what we're working with and how we're gonna go about finishing the other half of the project. But first, we've got to jack the thing up. And I needed a new jack. So we ran down to Harbor Freight. Why? Because it's cheap. And hopefully this jack will get the job done and last for a while. The old jack, we'll jerk that out here in a second. It's probably almost as old as I am. So it doesn't owe anybody anything. Yeah, there was time. So let's go ahead and we'll undo this guy, get the old jack out, get the new jack in, and then we'll get jacked up. All right, there she is, a new beauty. Pittsburgh 3-ton, that ought to do what we needed to do. Might be a little more useful for some more things. Let's look at the old guy here. Pretty old. It doesn't owe anybody anything. What does it say? Magnum Forge. The professional's choice. Fuck yeah. Well, serial number and a model number. Half gone. Wonder how old this thing is. Like, it is old. It has been around since I was a kid, basically. It is that old. Like, this is that jack. I stole it from my dad. Sorry. Borrowed without permission. Sorry. Borrowed and never returned. There we go. That's correct. So anyway, let's get this jack, this new guy, under the car, and we'll get her jacked up. We're gonna need some jack stands. And I've got one there. I've got the jack in place here. So we gotta get this other jack stand out of the box. I've never used these, and I'm pretty sure they are of the recall variety. These are probably the ones that got recalled because they would fall down and that would be the end of you. Okay, here we go. Put the jack. This jack fucking sucks. I'm so disappointed in it already. It pumps like shit. Pumps like your mom. That should be plenty. We don't have to get fucking out of control here. I'm just gonna put the jack stands under the sway bar. Pretty beefy sway bar. All right, take her easy. Hold it. Oh shit. Here we go. Well, that was the easy part. Let's pull this fucking wheel off. See what we're looking at. This is it. It's a wheel. So, check it out. You see that? What are those? What is happening right now? And they are jammed in there. Let me tell you, these wheels were not friendly to me when I was trying to figure this out. But you may recognize a 10-year-old video on YouTube along with some cheesy music that spins this wheel. That's right. I put ATS Brembos on a Chevelle 10 years ago. Started to. Problem is, I only finished one side, and by the time I finished that one side, I was so mentally drained and just burned out that like I just had to take a break for a while, like most projects. Problem is it's been 10 years, and I'm finally getting around to hoping to get this thing on the road. This is my sweet 72 Chevelle with a shelf of parts and magic with a 6-liter out of an 07 Hummer getting stuffed in. And so we need to be able to drive, but we've also got to be able to stop, which means I've got to figure out what I did 10 years ago and copy it, and that way we can get it on the other side. I had to put these ARP wheel studs in because I needed extra depth of stud, right? Because the problem with this whole combination the ultimate hardship in trying to get these ATS Brembos on this car. And clearing these wheels was a giant pain. And now that I've got a jack with some jack stands, we can just leave this thing in the air while I take the parts off and take them in the house. We'll reverse engineer. I've got the caliper bracket already that's been water jet cut. I just need to mill a little pocket into one side of it. So I'll take care of that. But the magic that makes this all work is a spacer with some hub-centric stuff and whatnot. Which part of this I've already recreated. I've revisited this project once. I did a little bit of work, and this is about as far as we got. I was trying to recreate some of the parts that I can't make anymore with a 3D printer, which is fine. Oh yeah. So when I set out to put these ATS Brembo calipers on my Chevelle and try to get them under these wheels, I wanted as big of a rotor as I could get, although it also had to be something this off the shelf, which led me down a road to buying several different rotors of different sizes and offsets, ultimately ending up using this. This rotor is an off-the-shelf 2010 to 2015 Camaro V6 base model, bottom of the barrel brake caliper. It had mostly all the right offset and size and everything to fit under this wheel. So this wheel limits me to basically this much rotor. And this is 321 millimeters or roughly 12.4 inches. So that's it, right? So we basically got a 12.5-inch rotor using the ATS Brembo calipers here on original Chevelle drum brake spindles with not too much effort. So part of the other way that I made this work, and looking back now, maybe it wasn't the right choice, but maybe it is. As far as if a guy were to sell a kit, like you would modify the rotor so that it would fit onto a stock hub. But I wanted to just buy rotors off the shelf and put them on this car anytime I needed a rotor. So I chucked up the hub into a lathe and turned this down, this diameter on the hub, turned it down to where it would fit this Camaro V6 rotor. And that way I could just get these, slam it on, away we go. Not that I'm really planning on changing a lot of these. I mean, it's pretty beefy. It's probably gonna outlast me. But for some reason, that's what I wanted to do, and I modified the hub. So we'll have to do that on the other side. That's not a big deal. We still have access to that lathe that I can do this. I've got the other rotor on the shelf. And really, there's the only thing that you're not seeing here is behind the rotor here, behind the hat, there is about a 1/16 of an inch spacer that is stainless steel that centers the rotor in the caliper, because it was just a little off. And so we have a little tiny spacer back there behind the rotor hat that centers into the caliper. And then we've got this big dumb, right, this. Somehow it fits, I swear. There we go, this, right? Even at that, like, I don't know that anybody makes the spacer that I would need, just a hub-centric spacer that's right and off the shelf because of what I've done. So I think we're just gonna make them, right? That way we know that it'll fit this rotor bore, which will be turned on to the other hub on the other side. And then we know that it'll fit this dumb wheel. Looking back, if I could have done this car again, like, it's not done, obviously, but I wish that I never would have gone with these wheels. These wheels just have been the bane of my existence since I got them. These are the wheels, like Z28 replica wheel from year one. Fucking suck, dude. So can't get tires, can't fit on normal cool brakes. It's just, they just suck. They were just so disappointing for what I thought they were really gonna work for what I wanted, for the look I was going for, and like they did. But man, they have just been unreasonably disappointing to work with as far as trying to modify the car and get the shit to work. So I wish I had some other wheels I could try. But anyway, yeah, man, I had milled this script in there in the old jack fab mill, and I got this far. I got this far. My bracket, it's just right here. But these are drum brake spindles, and the only thing I had to do to this bracket was just mill probably about 1/8 of an inch, roughly, to make it everything align up, and it, you know, matched up with this boss on the spindle, and everything else was just flat mount, easy. Yeah, I just kind of spaced out there. So anyway, this is as deep as we need to go. The only thing I really needed was this, and that way we can, and the original, I'll take the metal piece too, and that way we'll go get on the computer, old Fusion 360, and I'm gonna draw this up, and then we're gonna upload it to like whatever you want them to be. We're just gonna send it there and see how much I can get 2 of these for, and that might just solve our problem. All right, we're here in Fusion 360. Let's go ahead and get this drawn up real quick. It shouldn't take us too long. Got my big ass calipers here. Boop-a-doop-boo-doo-doo. That's so easy. Man, you mean I could have done this years ago? Alright, let's save it. Wheel spacer. Alright, well, now that we've... Where the hell are you? You're over there. This is so messed up. So now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and just submit it to a couple of these online CNC websites and see what they want to give me. If we can get some kind of decent deal, I'll buy 2 of them, and we'll carry on with the plan. I swear this isn't sponsored. I don't really like this website. So what am I looking for? CNC machining. Alright, aluminum, yep. Service finish, no. Sure. No. 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 2. 122 bucks for these, huh? Alright, let's go ahead and get these ordered. I'm gonna go to checkout. Wait a minute. What? Remote area surcharge? What the fuck are you talking about? Customs and duties. Motherfucker. We just got fucked here, folks. Shipping. We got fucked on the shipping and customs and duties. Fuck me. Now we're back to doing it ourselves again. Dude, I'm not paying 300 bucks for this shit. Mother. Now what? Well, this is out, folks. I don't know what we're gonna do now. All right, we're back. It's a few days later. I got a haircut and I've got my favorite shirt on. So where we left off here is we pulled my old wheel spacer part right off of the Chevelle. And we were gonna use one of those CNC places on the internet that you see everybody else on YouTube doing. The problem was when I went to do it, every single place was just absolutely outrageous for money. It's not a difficult part. And really, if this were a standard, any other car, I could just buy some off the shelf stuff and it would work. But the problem is that I've adapted this, and then we're using a Camaro V6 rotor, and I've turned the hub down to fit the rotor because I just wanted to be able to slap rotors on in the future without having to modify every single rotor. It made more sense to modify the hub. So because of this, I can't get a standard wheel adapter. I almost used JC, PCB, whatever they want to call themselves. And when I got the quote, it was like 130 bucks. And I was like, that's pretty fair. Okay. When I went to check out, there's a little bit of shipping. I get it. But then they hammered me with a $50 rural delivery fee. That's outrageous and unfair. Like maybe I could see that if I was having the stuff shipped to my house, but I'm shipping it to my dad's house in town, a real town. So the 50 bucks put a sour taste in my mouth. And then where they really lost me was at the very end. It was like another 120 bucks for customs, duties, tariffs, by the tariffs. And so anyway, I wasn't going to pay 300 bucks at that point. And then what do you do? At that point, now we're just... So the next thing that only made sense was to try and find something that was close, that I could modify, that existed off the shelf, that I could afford or justify paying for. And that is where Amazon came in with these guys. These are for a 2010 to 2015 Camaro, just like this rotor. And so it's got close to the right bore because I turned the hub down, and we'll check the fitment a little closer once I get the rest of this apart. But this doesn't quite fit on the hub. The only other problem was this is a 66.9 millimeter bore. That's about what the hub is. But because these are supposed to be for a 2010 to 15 Camaro, your little nubby fits those wheels, which is also 66.9 millimeters. Thankfully, these wheels here are for an old ass car like this. And so I figured after a little bit of testing that the bore for the wheel needed to be about 71.25 millimeters. And so I 3D printed this little ring that now goes onto this, and that problem is solved, and we can use these. They're a little thicker than the original by about 1/8 of an inch. I don't think that's going to mess with anything. It'll give us a little more clearance away from the caliper, which is fine. And when we get the front end back on, that's when we'll know if there's going to be any kind of clearance problems with the tire and the fender. But if we have to, for any reason, I can shave the back of this side down. I can make this the same thickness that this used to be, and it won't be a problem. So these from Amazon with 2-day delivery, 38 bucks. 38 bucks for 2 of them. Almost 10 times cheaper than any quote for any cheap ass CNC place that I could find on the internet. So internet, you lose today. Amazon, China, you know, it's still coming from the same place at the end of the day, but Amazon's already got it in the States, so I don't have to pay for rural delivery and tariffs and yada, yada, yada. We can make this work. Not a big deal. So I've got to get this caliper off so I can take the rotor off and take the hub off. We're going to pull the other side apart, take all these parts into town where I can use a lathe at my dad's house, and then we'll get to work. In the meantime, let's start taking this apart. So to get this off this steering knuckle piece, I don't know the correct terminology for it, but a knuckle or steering linkage, whatever, sounds pretty good. But we can't get the bottom caliper bolt out down here because of this steering stop. And so this has to come loose from the spindle. That way we can get to the caliper bolts to pull the caliper off and then the bracket. But we'll go ahead and get to going and we'll see what happens. Okay. And this, yeah, we should be able to work the bolts out enough to flop this out of the way. There we go. And now I can access this bottom caliper bolt. Okay, there's that guy. Okay, there's that guy. And then, since this is already all Cerakoted and nice, we're going to take this and just flop it over here on top of this old record player and this rag. Cool. Now the rotor can come off. There. And now you can see the magic that is this bracket. Shares this bolt with that steering knuckle, but up here, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, like this whole thing, the way this all goes together, it's almost like a puzzle, because it's got an order of operations. So I can't even get that bolt out until I take the hub off, and then I can pull that out and take this bolt out. But let's go ahead and get the hub. This shouldn't be too hard here, as long as this cotter key plays nice. Oh, it just broke. Sweet. That's the best. That's the best. We're gonna need a new one. It's only, what, 40 years old? I guess I can't blame it. I'll take the nut off. And then whatever we got over here for bearing material, I guess we'll stick that over next to the caliper here. All right, boom, bearing. I'll stick that there. And this guy is just there anyway, so we'll just roll with it. So yeah, there you go. You can see the area where I turned the hub down. You can almost see maybe the original size. There's a little step that it clears on the rotor, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, there's that. And now we can pull this, and then the 7/8 wrench here. Nope. The hell size is that? This is crescent wrench size. Get dirt all over everything. Hell yeah. Gross. Greasy. Okay. All right, here's the bracket. You might be able to copy it from this video if you want. And the only thing that we need to do is it's got to be machined. I just mill out about 1/8 of an inch, I think. I will have to go measure it, but just that little step, and then it's just a flat bracket. And these are just factory drum spindles. This car never had disc brakes, and this bracket, like it's a flat mount minus the boss, and I didn't want to grind the boss, so I just milled out the pocket, and it just bolts on like that. That's no big deal. We'll throw a rag over that spindle. I'm gonna go get the other side off, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll and do this all again. All right, I apologize for the poor lighting, but such is life. Okay, there's that. These lug nuts, they won't work anymore. Let's go put this back here. So here's all the old drum brake stuff. Nothing fancy here, but definitely not enough stud length. Oh yeah. All right. Some pretty good meat there. These would be good for Mini moons. We're not going to worry about it today. It looks like I can just bust this cap off and get the hub off. Just like that. That's good. That's a pretty decent looking bearing. All right, there it is. There it is, folks. We got it. We don't have any like direct measurement stuff, but you can see the amount of turn down there versus here. Anyway, but still, we'll have to beat these old studs out and come up with some more ARP studs. It's like a wasteland over here. There's another project that you haven't seen yet. One of these days I'll be able to bring it home when I've got some more space. All right, look at this guy. What we got going on here? High performance action, sure. This guy, oh man, it's coming. It's coming. Here it is. This old fossil. This thing's been kicking around since I was a kid. We've got our box of stuff here. And here's our other hub. I think these are just press-in studs, so we'll pound these out. That way they're not in the way. And we'll go ahead and try and turn this and see how that goes. Just like that. All right, well, I remember this kind of sucked last time that I had to fucking do this. The problem being is like there's no shoulder as such. It's pretty round, it's kind of tapered, and so holding it in the jaw is pretty questionable. You see here, you can look at the jaw, you can see the air. It's just grabbing on like that one tooth. That's all that's holding this thing in there. It's sketchy. Sketchy, sketchy. Let's see what this does. All right, well, we're done here on the lathe. After just doing this, and there's still plenty of meat there. I'm not scared about this whatsoever, but now we've got beauty. The problem now is I need more ARP wheel studs. I thought I had another brand new box package here, but as you can see, good luck finding it. I'll just buy a new one and that'll be that. But so far so good. So we'll just have to come back and tap these holes because these were like press-in studs, splined. So we'll have to tap these out. But anyway, yeah, we'll round it all up and throw it in a box and come back another day. That's enough fun for one day, and that was a pretty big dent in the problem. All right, we're back here at my dad's shop once again. A couple days have passed while we wait for the majesty of the UPS man and or USPS, whoever wants to drop this shit off. But I got this microphone. It kind of looks like a DJI ad now, doesn't it? So hopefully moving forward, maybe this stuff will sound a little better. About to do some of the sketchiest shit you've probably ever seen. So let's take a look. All right, here we are. Super sketchy, but we can see the old bracket here that came off the car from 11 years ago, 10 years ago. And we're gonna add this pocket, if you will, right? That's kind of what we're going for. I was able to use some K&N filter oil and transfer the pocket area and get it marked out okay. And this is really the best situation I could come up with to get this clamped in straightish. And I'm sure as soon as I fire this thing up, it's just going to rip it right out of there and hit me in the face. But cross your fingers that that's not what happens. And let's just give her a go here. It's not very deep. This is aluminum, and hopefully we can just knock this out. Then from there, all we've got to do is tap the hub for the new larger wheel studs, and we'll be back on our way to the house to do something, to put all this shit together. That's what we're going to do, and be done with this project. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's fucking fuck some shit up. I've already got the height, the depth set on this thing, and we're just gonna try and take it one pass deep. Well, let's just rip her out and we'll just see what happens. I'm gonna blast some WD-40 on here. And crush your fingers. Well, it doesn't seem too bad. I think we'll be all right. And that's pretty damn close, dude. It's like 3 thou under a quarter. Whereas this side is, come on, fucking nuts on. So if I'm within 3,000, so I'm going to take that. That's close enough. Nobody will ever know. You'll never see it when it's on the car, and it shouldn't affect anything. So we're just going to let her rip at this point. I'm going to douche her with the WD again. Just kind of spread her around, spread the love. And now is where we really cross our fingers and hope this doesn't fly out of there. Okay, here's the sketchy part. We're gonna do full send here. All right, here's what we got so far. And let's go ahead and just finish her off. Getting a little ballsy here with the speed. Looks like we're getting a little bit of lift. Easy does her. Easy does her there, bud. We're in the home stretch. Don't fly out now. I think that'll do it. Oh, man. Yeah, not the best surface finish there, but as long as it's close enough to being close enough, that'll work. I don't want to pull it out of the vise yet, in case we've got to do some fucked up skim pass. Let me try and measure it. Please. Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good. That's great. We're done here. Yeah, that should be good. We've got a little extra clearance on the bottom and the front, like the frontal edge. It's dead nuts. So yeah, this should go right on the other side of the car. Now we have a mirrored set of these. So that's great. The other thing I want to do, I'm going to take some old crummy DA that sucks, and I'm going to go ahead and DA the rust off the rotors. Just the chromiest, most fallen apart DA. I don't have any other sandpaper for it, so we're just gonna give her a go. See what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The rest will come off when we drive. Oh yeah, here we go. It's not too bad. Oh man, look at that. What a difference. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, it's definitely better than that. meant to throw a rag down or something, but I forgot. Pretty rough looking on the backside. Let's see, is that gonna fall out yet and blow me in the face? Oh, there it goes. Oh, fuck. All right, well, that's enough of that. It was fun while we lasted. At least we got the side that everybody's gonna see done first. This is on the back side, so, oh well. Yeah. All right, the big question now. Eat the pipe. So do we have? Do we have a half 20 tap kicking around? I bet we do. That looks like that's not right. 21/64. Half 13. That's close. We had a little more teeth on it. It'd be all right. This guy might be the winner. Half 20. Nice. All right, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot some WD-40 on this tap. Hopefully not all over the camera. We're going to shoot some in our hole here. Just kind of give her a little froth. There you go. So the beauty of this will be the easiest thing we do all day, right? And the reason for that is the stock Chevy lug nuts here are 7/16. And we are tapping these out to half 20. And so we don't even have to pre-drill the holes because they're already 7/16. Because half-inch tap size would be like a 7/16. And so all we got to do is run the tap through, just like that. Easiest thing we've done all day. Fuck yeah, dude. Nice and crooked. That's the best. Fuck yes. Okay, pay more attention, dickhead. Looks pretty good from here. You see how we operate around here. It's pretty fly by the seat of your pants. All it's got to do is work. All right, so we're screwing our studs in here. Just, they're screwing right in by hand. No big deal. Starting to get pissed off. So these are, what are these? Longer than they need to be, that's for sure. When we get the wheel back on, we'll take a look at how much is sticking out here of the stud. I know for if you're at the drag strip, there's some rules about like the length of stud hanging out and having like open-ended lug nuts, which we have to because these studs are so long. And really, I think these are probably as long as they are because this particular ARP wheel stud set is the cheapest set that you can get, at least that I could find. And if you wanted shorter ones that weren't, you know, we wouldn't have had so much stud hanging out of the lug nut. The shorter ones were more money. So much so that I wasn't willing to spend the money because the length doesn't particularly matter to me, right? We've just got to get enough to make shit work. And if there's extra, cool. Nobody ever complained about a little extra length, right? Yep. All right, there it is. Let's drop this guy on. And this is the first big test. If this goes on, we're great. If it doesn't, oh, fucking cool. Ish. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay, great. This ought to work. If this goes on, we should have no problem putting the wheel on. So yeah, that's good. All right, well, here we are, folks. This is what we've got. We got these rotors cleaned up slightly. We got all the studs in, and now we've got the, whatever these are, the wheel spacers. fit onto the hubs. So we're good here. It is 3:06 p.m. I've been here for about 2 hours. That's not too bad. We got a half-hour drive back to the house. So let's blow the shithole and go do something. Hopefully some of this footage was okay, but whatever. We got this sweet new mic. I don't know how it's working. For some reason, I bought the white one, which was the stupidest thing I could have done because now it's all fucking gross and covered with grease. Good job. All right, once again, it's another couple days later. Trips to 4 different hardware stores, and about $60 later, I finally got all the random bolts that I need that's gonna make all this stuff bolt on. So everything's ready to go. We've modified all our stuff. Everything looks like it's gonna be a good fit and it's gonna work. So we're kind of in the home stretch here. And basically what I gotta do is I gotta get all this old drum brake stuff off. And then that's gonna let us start putting the new stuff on. This is gonna suck because I don't have the right tools to do this. And I haven't touched drum brakes since the last time I did this on the other side. So I'm thinking I'm gonna pull the springs off and maybe I don't have to disassemble this whole assembly because I can see the 2 bolts here, right here that go through that steering knuckle piece that we had to take off on the other side. And so if I remove these, we'll get this stuff off and I can get this top one. Maybe I can pull the whole deal off as an assembly, but we'll see. If I got to take it all apart, I'll take it all apart. So, fun fact, these rotors that are going on here are super heavy. Also, so are the calipers. And just out of a morbid curiosity, I wanted to see what the weight difference was between all this drum stuff with the drum, which you can't see. I got a drum here on the floor. I'm not going to pick it up. I was going to, but f it. Anyway, the weight difference between these new disc brake parts and the drum brake parts. 30 pounds heavier between the rotors, the calipers, and the wheel spacers. The wheel spacers weigh nothing in the grand scheme of things, but we're adding 30 pounds to the front of this car by putting these disc brakes on. That is wild to me and sad, but it's too late now, so let's just keep going. Yep, I can see where this is going right now. Holy shit. Come on, come on. All right, well, there's one. There's one. Okay, yeah, it's going a little better. It was just that first one. This one here, the last time I did this shit when I was a kid. I haven't done drum brakes, actually, since I was a kid. This one I remember always took a fucking special tool to really, really send it on home to get it over this notchy-do. How are we going to get this thing off now? There we go. Okay. Not too bad. Oh, yeah, this is great. Cool. Good. I'm not going to bother with most of this other stuff. I can see this guy here where all the springs and stuff were connected to. I got to flatten out this safety stopper deal that keeps it from spinning. So we'll go grab a screwdriver and hammer so we can get that bent out, and then I guess we'll just bust that out easy. And then this bolt here and this bolt here, and that should be all that's holding this whole thing on, minus the brake line. And you can see this brake line is seeing better days. It's something, oh look, it's starting to leak. Sweet. So always replace your brake lines on this old ass shit, especially if they're rubber. And we'll talk about the brake lines that make this setup work later on. Not the best. There we go. Cool. I don't have a wrench that fits this for some reason. As you can tell, if you haven't been able to figure it out yet, I'm pretty lacking in the tool department and things of that nature. But through the power of creative ingenuity, I'm always able to kind of cobble something together. And so we got the sweet crescent wrench, and even though our old jack is dead, the handle will live on forever as our new cheater bar. What? Holy moly. What? This thing wasn't even tight. The only thing holding it was that metal being bent over. Holy crap. Huh. Weird. All right. Well, kind of wish these pads weren't in the way. Shoes, excuse me. These shoes weren't in the way. Bang. There it is. Look at that. Now. All right. You know what? Okay. Let's do this. Let's see how this impact treats us. And then I need a wrench on the back. Fuck, of course not. Of course not. This guy? This guy. I tell you what, I bought these d.i.y impacts several years back when I kind of started this project. For the most part, they also have been very disappointing. They didn't last long. This half-inch one sucks. Clear? Yeah, clearance. You got it. Okay, let's do the other side. Oh, it's a little easier to get to. Yes. Why is that stuck? Spin it. Sometimes you gotta spin it to win it. Pull this shit off. Bang. All right, just like that. We're in the home stretch again. That's not too bad. I'll get some of this crud cleaned up. We're gonna undo the brake line from the bracket here where it screws into the rubber line, the hard line. So we'll get that out. Come on, guy. You need better tools. All right, there it is. I'm not worried about losing fluid per se. Check out this wrench. It's a classic here. So I take off the old bracket. The new brake line thankfully comes with a new bracket and all this stuff here. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on. All right, we've got the new brake line, the bracket on and whatnot. It's there. Fluid started running out, so I just kind of tucked it up here under the spring at the moment to keep it kind of halfway upright. But I've got to go get the caliper off the other side because I noticed while looking at all this stuff, the other caliper needs to be over here. The bleeder port was on the bottom, and I could just unscrew the bleeder fittings and the plugs and switch sides, but I don't want to mess with that. I'd rather just switch the calipers around, and that way we have them on the right side. But what would happen if I didn't change that around is there'd always be this air bubble, this air pocket that we'd never be able to get rid of because the bleeder's on the bottom, and that top void would just never be filled with fluid. So we'll swap them around, and I'm going to start getting the bracketry and all the stuff on here, and we'll start putting it back together. All right, we're going to go ahead and get the hub on. Yeah, and get our bearing back in. That's good enough. Okay, I'll put our dust cap on. I mentioned previously that we have a thin stainless spacer that goes on first that kind of puts it needs to center the rotor into the caliper a little better because it works, but it wasn't centered enough. And so me being me, we'll just put this little spacer in, and that's all it takes. Okay, we don't do that. We need to put the bracket on, which means these bolts with the bracket and this bolt. So let's do that. I've got the bracket here. This is the bracket that we modified the other day on the mill at my dad's. Okay. So it seems as if, as much thought as I've tried to put into this, there's always some kind of fucking problem, right? Because I'm guessing these fucking, damn, I gotta take the fucking hub back off. Right, the puzzle, the order of operations, flying by the seat of your pants, and this is what happens. What if I do this? Oh ho ho. Oh shit, it's just barely not gonna make it. And now it's just barely gonna make it. Cool. Okay, get in there. Yes. Nut it. Wait a minute. Now, what we should have done, where this becomes a problem. Fuck, take the damn hub off. Son of a bitch. The oldness. Can't help it. That. Put the hub back on. Starting to get pissed off. Rotor. All right, I've got the rotor on and the wheel spacer, and I've just put one lug nut here on the bottom stud just to keep it from trying to fall off. And we're gonna put the caliper on right now, and we're getting close here. This is, I had to go pull the caliper off the other side, so this can just go something like so. And we just put the bolts in, and we'll be on our way, folks. Shouldn't be too difficult at this point in time. Bottom mold. Oh man, just another fucking problem. Good God. I forgot how fucked up this is. So now what are you gonna do? I can't get this bottom caliper bolt in because of the steering stop with the thing. We talked about this when I took the other side apart. I got a little overzealous because here we are. So man, god damn, I just can't win. This whole project, I've been basically dealing with this for the past, it's coming up on 2 weeks now. And everything I do, it's just problem after problem after problem. But we've managed to overcome them all, and we are so close to the end. I can see the finish line. It's just going to be a little more work. So, damn. Okay, so the hub. Fuck. Really? What a mess. Fuck. Is this thing even recording? Fuck no, it's not recording. God damn, dude. What a piece of fucking shit. I'm just gonna throw everything. I'm just gonna throw everything. I'm so fucking over it. This cotter key, this brand new cotter key, I'm sure it's gonna break here anytime now. If I take it out one more time, it's just gonna fucking explode. Just problem after problem. Cars, dude. Why do I do this to myself? What a fucking mess. God, how the fuck does this work? Good God. Somehow I've managed to get the other side off and on multiple times, but I just don't understand. Okay. Now it's all making sense again. So, put the rotor back on. Okay. Okay. Now, that lug nut. This bolt. Okay, get on there. Okay, good. Turn it. Okay, now put the fucking caliper on. Okay. Now, holy f***. How are we looking here? Good? Great. Are we... Okay, it's a wrench in time. Wait. That's your next problem. Your hand's covered in fucking grease and shit. How the fuck does this work? How did you ever come up with this? Fuck. I think it'll be okay. There's just a whisper of clearance between the bolt head and the outside of the steering stop. So that's fine, as long as it's not throwing the geometry off of what we're trying to do. All right. Okay, here we go. Okay. Nice. And this one. Cool. That's it. All right. So here we go. Chevelle goes that way on this particular guy. And let's see. We should get our brake line put on there, hooked up. Copper washer on either side of the banjo fitting. And then this guy, let's see here, comes down here. And screw. Go. Ish. Okay, we're just gonna leave it be. Yay, look at this. Can you see this? Bam. Bam. Decent. Let's get the fucking wheel on and be done here. It's just fucking flopping around. Once we get that wheel on, we'll be styling. So here we are, the bolt, that bolt. We got this stuff. Cool. Let's get that wheel on. We got to put the dust cover back on this because I've taken it off 100 fucking times. I had mentioned previously, and I don't know if I talked about it, so I'm talking about it again, just in case I didn't cover it before. This wheel spacer was for a 2010 to 15 Camaro, and as such, it has the correct bore size on this nubby, as if it were going to go on that. The wheels off this car have a larger bore, so we're going to fix that by using this 3D printed ring. Just going to slip on there, and just like that, now this problem has been solved. So we're going to get this wheel on, and this side's done. I don't know if it's jacked up enough. I jacked it, but I don't know if it's enough. Maybe? Is that it? That doesn't seem right. There it goes. Okay. Stay. We had to buy open-ended lug nuts because of these long ass ARP studs, which is fine. But let's go ahead and get these on. This isn't bad, guys. We've got a little more clearance now because of the extra thickness of the that spacer. It was thicker than the one that I had made 10 years ago. And really, I really don't hate having the extra clearance at all. It looks fine. Everything's still good, visible. I just bought some cheap lug nuts on Amazon. They're OMT brand. They came with a socket, which is nice because these studs are so long. My lug wrench it wouldn't reach all the way to engage with the nuts, right? In which I kind of had not a problem really when I was taking the other side off, but I mean, when I did, and we were first taking the nuts off over there, the lug wrench would just barely engage by the skin of its teeth. So this socket will help us out here. All right, now speed it up. Let's go. Okay. Okay. Oh shit. Cool, that's good enough. That's good enough to set it down on the ground and finish tightening them up. We're not going to deal with it right now, but don't mind all the spider webs and old. Here we are. It's damn tight. It is damn tight, if you can see. As I mentioned, trying to stuff all this under these wheels sucked. It sucked a lot. So there's one more thing I want to show you here before we wrap up the other side. I'm going to show you another rotor that I could have used and that I wanted to use, but then I discovered it wasn't going to fit under these dumb wheels. Here's the rotor we're using. This is the Camaro V6 rotor. It's 12.64 inches. I've said it was 12 and a half and under 12.4. It's 12.64. Let's call it 12 and 5/8. This is an Lexus LS460 rotor. This is 13 and an eighth. And the difference between these two is there's a little more offset here. If we look at, right, like so, and like so. So this rotor is what I was gonna run. I didn't like the whole wheel spacer thing. And so I got a rotor that was in the ballpark with the right amount of offset. And I was gonna rehash the bracket a little bit, just kind of space it around, move it back. And this was gonna make it to where I didn't have to run the wheel spacer. But this wouldn't fit under these dumb wheels. So if you go down this road and try to do this yourself and you want a bigger rotor than what I've got here, this Lexus rotor would work. The caveat is you got to fudge the bracket spacing or do a little bit of something finagling to make it work, because it wouldn't exactly be the same. But I never went down that road to figure it out because it wouldn't clear the wheel. So anyway, that's that. It's another option, but it didn't work for these wheels. So again, we're in the home stretch. I've got the one side done. We're just gonna slap this side back on and dump this thing on the ground and we'll be done. Now I've got to remember how to do this again because it sucks. We're gonna take a break. The memory card's almost out of space. I'm gonna go transfer some footage to the computer and cool off because I'm starting to get pissed. Cool. Close. The home stretch here, man. We're about to dump this thing on the ground. Okay. Cool. Get some of this shit out of the way. Got all the tools out from under the tires. Drop it on the ground. Damn, look at all that sweat. All right. We're finally done. We did it. It's been about 2 weeks of trying to do this, between doing some here and there, ordering stuff from online, doing some more stuff, ordering more stuff, waiting for the stuff to show up. But we finally did it. It's done. And for the first time in over 10 or 11 years, this thing has matching brakes on the front. Before I put it down on the ground, we're just gonna go ahead and look at it one more time and spin the wheels just for fun. Man, there it is. Yes. Decent. All right, this guy. Do it. It's there somewhere. Take my word for it. Cool. Just dump it. Dump it. All right. This jack, man, what a piece of shit. All right, somewhere here, you can see the important part, right? Watch out for my stupid knee. There it is, you can see it. Ah, fudge. Let's get these fucking gloves off. God damn, I'm so sweaty and gross. All right, so I want to thank you for coming along on this journey. Like I said, 10 years ago, maybe plus, maybe 11, I started this project and I figured it out, and we did one side. And I needed to finish the other side because going back to drum brakes at this point wasn't an option. And we had a lot of obstacles, but we were able to overcome all of them. And I can't wait to actually get this thing out on the road. As you can see, we're in the middle of an LS swap. You'll see some of that here and there maybe. Anyway, we're not gonna bleed the brakes. You know how to do that. And if you don't, I'm sure you can find a video somewhere else on YouTube that'll show you how. Why am I not gonna bleed the brakes right now? One, it doesn't run. It's not going anywhere for the next few months at least, I would guess. But I need to change the proportioning valve. And with that, I also need to relocate the proportioning valve because the headers that I've got are smashed right up against the factory one. And I don't really want that. So we're gonna move it in the process of changing it. And I'm not gonna show you that. You can YouTube that or use your imagination. But after I get the proportioning valve relocated and swapped out, maybe I'll look at bleeding the brakes. And then at that point, we gotta get this thing running. And that way, oh God, all the sweat is burning into my eyes. Sweet. Fuck. We got to get it running so we can drive it because I want to take this thing to the drag strip this year. Anyway, I hope this was somewhat enjoyable. I think it's probably a little longer than the last couple videos I've done, but it is what it is. This was a much longer project than the last couple things that I've done, and it's taken a fair amount of time between doing stuff, ordering more stuff, waiting for the stuff to get here, rinse and repeat. But yeah, 10 years ago, we put ATS Brembo brakes on a Chevelle before anybody else thought it was cool. And the reason that I never offered any kind of kit back when I used to sell stuff was because I thought it was too much of a liability. I didn't want to have some death on my hands because something related to brakes that I sent out failed or broke, and that wasn't the goal. It was always to just get these on my car. And why? I can't really show you anymore because the shit's in the way. But wouldn't you know it, I got another set of these. Can you see that, Cadillac? You can see that. I bought another set of these back when they were affordable and dirt cheap because I saw that they were getting more expensive as time went on from when I originally bought these and started this project. I don't know what they go for these days, but I bought another set while they were cheap and I've got it for something. But what made me fall in love with these calipers was this big flat section, which you can, I got the camera in my hand, but the flat area, this big flat area that says Cadillac, and I knew that, oh my God, I have to mill Chevelle into that. And that was how this project came about. They were cheap and they had a big, nice flat spot. I liked how they looked. And so, bam, put what you want on there, make them yours. That's all I've got for this video. Thanks for hanging out, and be sure to like, subscribe, share with your other buddies that tried to put these weird brakes on their car. Maybe someone could use this video, and you can see the bracket somewhere back in the video. It's a pretty straight on shot. If you want to copy it, feel free, but you know, it'll get you in the ballpark.